The NFL season is halfway through. We are at the halfway point here in the NFL season. We're going to talk a lot today on this show about what has been going on through the first 9 weeks. This is Snap the Pigskin, and I am your host, Noah Clark. Good to have you with us here. We're going to be talking the Vikings quarterback situation, the New York Jets finally winning their first game of the regular season, and the Packers beating Rodgers on Sunday Night Football, and Allen and Mahomes going at it once again with bringing home the bacon. Pigskin primetime picks to close out. So with that, let us get right into it here, and we talk about the Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation. And I start with this, and I talk about with Minnesota, how dumb of a situation Minnesota is in. I mean, you can't talk about a team that has had more quarterbacks that they've burned through than the Minnesota Vikings. And you look at Minnesota, and you look at this team, through the years, they've not really had a particularly long history of great quarterbacks. They have not. And so when you look at Minnesota and you look at the quarterbacks that they have now, it's like it's no surprise. And let me give you the whole rundown on how this quarterback situation has been in Minnesota. So starting back 2020, 2025 or 2024, we go back to last season, 2024, the Minnesota Vikings. 2024, Minnesota was sitting in a prime position. They had their quarterback. They had Sam Darnold, the apple of their eye. Sam Darnold just led the Vikings to the playoffs. Could have been a 2 seed. They were playing all the way to the last game to be a 2 seed. And it ended up being, for them, a miracle that Sam Darnold was their quarterback. The end result, though, was that they didn't pay him. And they regretted not, and you could say maybe they regretted not paying him. You could say that, yeah, maybe they thought at the time J.J. McCarthy was the guy. But, like, make no mistake about it, Vikings fans, you had your quarterback with Sam Darnold, and he was the only player that got paid a multi-year deal. He was the only one that got paid a multi-year deal out of all the starting quarterbacks in the free agency period. Darnold leaves. They bring in, they have J.J. McCarthy. So everybody's expecting, oh, J.J. McCarthy, here he comes. He's going to be the guy who's going to lead the Minnesota Vikings to the promised land. He's going to replace Sam Darnold. This is a perfect fit for Minnesota. This is perfect. This is what we wanted. We wanted this guy all along. And the end result ends up being that it ends up being a disaster for Minnesota. I mean, well, I shouldn't say not a disaster, but the whole situation has ended up being a disaster. And just even talking about this, like with Minnesota, they had, J.J. McCarthy play that incredible week 1 game, that week 1 comeback against the Chicago Bears. They win week 1. He's Offensive Player of the Week in the NFC. He wins week 1. He's NFC Player of the Week in the NFC. Then what happens? They go into week 2. They lose in week 2. And then what happens after that? Kevin O'Connell I don't want to put, too much on it, but being the conspiracy theorist, Kevin O'Connell may have just decided that J.J. McCarthy might not be the guy for the future. So what does he do? So what happens? Has an ankle injury the next week. Doesn't come back. It has not came back since. He had the Atlanta game. I understand that, yeah, the Atlanta game, he did not play well, and it was bad. I mean, the Falcons ran all over him. They ran all over him to Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. They ran all over him to death. I get that. But, that doesn't mean, J.J. McCarthy should be out. And even two, he said it was a sprained ankle, but then it turned into a high ankle sprain. Now, which is it? Like, that's the one thing. That's another thing is, which is it? Is it an ankle sprain? Is it a high ankle sprain? Because if it's an ankle sprain, he could easily go and play on that. We've seen multiple quarterbacks go and play on that. If it's a high ankle sprain, that's a lot harder. Not many quarterbacks can go out and play on a high ankle sprain. And so McCarthy's been out. Carson Wentz comes in, and in comes Carson Wentz, and he doesn't play well. Carson Wentz, wins them a couple games. Hey, bravo, good job. Wins them a couple games. But you look at the last couple of weeks, they have not played well. And Carson Wentz has not played well for the Vikings. And we've got to this point where Minnesota, now Carson Wentz, you even go to that Thursday Night Football game, like Kevin O'Connell trotted him out there on Thursday Night Football. Like, this is how frustrating it is with the Vikings, is Kevin O'Connell could have had the opportunity to start J.J. McCarthy. He could have had the opportunity to start J.J. McCarthy. Or at least could have said, JJ, we're going to keep you, we're going to keep you warm. Just be ready for anything. Remember, they said he was the emergency quarterback. And Thursday Night Football comes up. They go and play the Chargers. Wentz could not, excuse me. Wentz could not play. He was struggling. He couldn't throw the ball more than 15 yards. His shoulder was so bad. Oh my gosh. Like, it was bad. And then what happened, we find out later that his shoulder was absolutely murdered. And Kevin O'Connell had him play through the whole thing. Now he gets put on long-term IR, and essentially, his season's done. So, wonderful. As I take a sip of water here, I'm dealing with kind of a cold, so you'll have to excuse me for my voice being so raspy today. But with the whole situation now, we fast forward to today, and here we are to today, and the Vikings now have to make the decision of start Max Brosmer or start J.J. McCarthy. And I don't know, if you're Kevin O'Connell, how you can make another excuse. Kevin O'Connell has had excuses for weeks on end. Why haven't you started, J.J. McCarthy? Why isn't he not playing? For weeks on end, he said nothing, to the fact of, J.J. should be ready, because a high ankle sprain is, depending on the grade, a high ankle sprain only keeps you out at least 4 weeks. We are in week 9, people. We are in week 9. At some point, he should have been able to go. They should have at least given him a full week work of practice. And every week, Kevin O'Connell would say, no, he's not ready. Not ready to go. We're not ready. I don't know when he's going to be ready. It's just bad. And this does kind of hurt Kevin O'Connell and his reputation, because now, they have a chance. The Vikings have a chance still at making the playoffs. They legitimately have a spot at making the playoffs. And what is frustrating is that it's clear and obvious that they know who their quarterback is, and they know who they should play. This is what has been so frustrating, and this is why the Vikings are always kind of the little brother of the NFL, in my opinion, because they do stuff like this that just doesn't make sense. They do stuff like this that doesn't make sense. They do stuff like this that is just completely stupid. And on top of that, not only is it completely stupid, but it's really a test of, it's really a test of Kevin O'Connell and who he wants for his quarterback. They draft, keep in mind, They drafted J.J. McCarthy. And they drafted J.J. McCarthy. And what makes it even more frustrating is they drafted him. And now they're not going to start him. This is a guy that Kevin O'Connell probably wanted. And they're not going to start him. Like, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that nonsense. So now Minnesota, they have this week a big game. They have the Detroit Lions at Detroit. Excuse me. Whoever their quarterback is going to be, good luck. Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. Good luck figuring out how you're going to beat Detroit. Because they should have already figured out who the quarterback is for this week and let him prepare. The fact that they haven't said anything yet about who the quarterback is does bring me some concern to this one. Yeah, wild stuff. Moving on to second down, and the New York Jets. The New York Jets finally got their first win of the season. New York finally got on the win column, and there are no teams without a win or without a win left in the NFL. I think I said that right. And New York, man, incredible stuff from the Jets. They win 39-38 in Cincinnati at the Bengals' house. And Justin Fields, did he give himself a chance to get his job back? Because earlier in the week, this was a whole thing that happened. The whole thing that happened was Justin Fields got benched. He's been their starting quarterback up to this point, and Justin Fields got benched for Tyrod Taylor. Well, Tyrod Taylor got hurt, and not only did Tyrod get hurt, but he got hurt. He couldn't, he was declared out. He was declared doubtful, and which in this term means out. So Justin Fields comes in and absolutely plays out of his mind in this game. And I got to give credit to Justin Fields. I think he's had a up and down career, and there are guys that you want to root for in their career. Justin Fields is the one that you got to root for. I mean, you look at his career so far, it's been rough. He's been on 3 teams with zero to almost no success in terms of quarterback development. And Pittsburgh is the only one that I think you could say, yeah, he doesn't have that they have somewhat quarterback development. They really haven't figured out, life after Ben Roethlisberger. But this was a big win for him. I think he really needed to get back into Aaron Glenn's graces and really get out of that doghouse that he was in. And it was time, and it was time. And they got the win. Hopefully this win will turn their season around and they can start racking some wins up. They're not going to make the playoffs, but still, I mean, it's a positive for Jets fans. Now for Bengals fans, Cincinnati, all I can say is, man, how can you lose to the Jets? How can you lose to the New York Jets? This team has not won a game all year. They have been by far the worst team in the NFL this year. They have been so bad this year. And I just ask the Cincinnati Bengals, how do you lose? How can it get more worse for you? You lose Joe Burrow you lose Joe Burrow for most of the season, potentially, when you refuse to build your O-line. You refuse to pay Trey Hendrickson. You finally pay Trey Hendrickson, but you only pay him to a 1-year deal, a massive 1-year deal. And you don't rebuild that offensive line. It's still a rotating door. And now You lose to the Jets. Lose to the Jets. Ugh. Excuse me. You lose to the Jets. You cannot lose to the New York Jets. I'm sorry. It's so bad. They're such a bad organization. And I do give, while I'm saying I'm praising Justin Fields too, if you're a Bengals fan, like, this is a tough loss. This is a bad loss. And especially when your season's hanging in the balance, Joe Flacco won you a game against the Steelers. You needed this win to just keep yourselves in the race for the playoffs. And now they're kind of sitting in, the outside looking in, which is not good for Pittsburgh. Or, sorry, not Pittsburgh, which is not good for Cincinnati. They're sitting at 3-5. If the season were to end today, the Bengals would be the 10th, would be sitting outside of the playoffs, and they'd be the 10th seed, which means they would not get in. And yeah, their season's pretty much cooked if they can't figure out how to win, how to win games, how to win, in crunch time, and how to win without Joe Burrow. I know you have another guy named Joe, but come on. Like, we need to be better. And what makes this more even funnier is I was reading this today on the internet. I was reading this today, an article. Apparently, Bengals fans are so frustrated. They're so mad at this loss from the New York Jets that some fans have, or at least one fan, decided to cancel their season tickets. They decided to cancel their season tickets. Why would you do that? I mean, like, it was hilarious reading the response, and I can't remember. I would have to go back and look at the response, but he was frustrated because, he didn't pay, season tickets to just watch them lose to the Jets. And I mean, I get it, man. Like, dude, that's frustrating. But, like, I also say this too, like, you shouldn't give away your season tickets. You shouldn't cancel your season tickets. Like, that's a bad decision right there. I mean, just it's bad. That's a bad decision, my friend. So you better hope that you can get season tickets again the next time. Otherwise, brother, man, you're cooked. And I feel for him. I feel for the Bengals fans. They've been wanting to get back to the Super Bowl since 21. They had that miracle run, and I mean, let's be honest here. It's been a miracle run because you look at the last 3, 4, 5 seasons now. It's been kind of the same thing where they only get so far in the postseason, and you also look to the wheels have slowly started to come off the wagon for the Bengals. I mean, for one, Joe Burrow can't stay healthy. He just can't. And that's a problem. When your quarterback, your franchise quarterback that you're paying money to, can't stay healthy, it's a big problem. And you need to fix that problem. Because we've seen this before happen to quarterbacks where they're paid a lot of money, and for over the years, they don't build, particularly in the trenches. And I think most people know who I'm talking about when I'm getting to this situation. So Cincinnati losing to the Jets, that's a tough one. Bengals got to bounce back, though. They need to bounce back. They got the Bears. If they beat the Bears, though, if Joe Flacco can beat the Bears, that'd be hilarious because the Bears just last week lost to Tyler Huntley. And now Lamar Jackson potentially is coming back. Ravens might be, overtaking the Bengals here once Lamar gets back. So that's all I'm going to say. Moving on to third down. Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers face the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. And Rodgers playing his former team. Aaron Rodgers had a chance to complete history, becoming the 5th quarterback to beat all 32 teams in the National Football League, including his own. Aaron Rodgers has beaten 31 teams. The only team that he had not beat was Green Bay. For the other side of it, Green Bay was looking to get their first win in Pittsburgh since 1970. And the Green Bay Packers got that win. They got that win, and they got that win in incredible fashion with Jordan Love and company. My goodness. This was a spectacular game from start to finish from Green Bay. Let me rephrase that. Not a spectacular game in the first half, I should say, but this was a great game overall from both sides. Both sides really wanted it. You could tell that this game meant a lot to the winner of this team. And for the loser, it meant a lot as well, especially to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is the team that had that he was on for 18 seasons, the most by any Packer player in NFL history. And I feel for the Steelers a bit, but I also do blame Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh in this game, they did not help Aaron Rodgers in terms of helping him out and getting this win and saying, we're behind you, Aaron, 100%. I mean, this was a game where it kind of fell apart. They were getting into fights. DK Metcalf got a 15-yard penalty. Aaron Rodgers was getting frustrated because receivers weren't running the right routes or they weren't getting open. And we've seen it before. If you're a Packers fan and have seen Aaron Rodgers, you know you do not want to be in his doghouse. You do not want to be in his doghouse, or in this case, his darkness retreat, his darkness house. And that was the case on Sunday night. And I feel for Rodgers. I know he really wanted to get this win. I know he really wanted to beat his old team, to stick it to him, to say, hey, you made a mistake in letting me go, and you made a mistake in letting me go and choosing Jordan Love. I mean, yeah, the headlines going into that game where Rodgers isn't mad. He's very happy that the organization gave him the opportunity to be there for 18 seasons. And he said even too, he wants to retire a Packer there. When it's all said and done, he wants to retire a Packer. But you could tell there was a little bit more personal. It was a little bit personal because he knew that he wanted to win this game, and he really, against a team that, he had been with. And we kind of get that, any player that leaves and has been with an organization for so long wants to beat their team. And I completely get it that players want to do that. So when you lose, and when you lose to that team, it hurts even more because, I went to a different team and now it's not working. And I didn't beat them. And it makes me feel like the other team is thinking, oh, you must suck. Or, oh, you're not as good. Oh, haha. So I do have that feel for Aaron Rodgers. And this is also coming from me. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers guy. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. Now, I'm not a fan of the guy that he is on the outside and what he does on the outside, and just the whole thing of just him being, doing the ayahuasca, going to Peru or wherever, and all that stuff, not getting vaccinated. I like him generally as Aaron Rodgers, the football player. And what he has accomplished over the years as a football player is really incredible. Now, on the other side of it, man, Jordan Love. I tweeted this out. I tweeted this out 5 years ago, after the Packers had lost to the Bucs. And I said, after that Bucs game, I said it was a tough loss to lose to the Bucs, but I said when it's all said and done, when Aaron Rodgers is gone, Jordan Love is going to come in and he will be better than Aaron Rodgers was. And he's not, and now here we are at this point where, like, we're at this point now where fast forward 4 or 5 years later, it's like, dude, like that is boom, scorching, hot takes right there. That's like dartboard. That's like bullseye material that I just put out there. Because Jordan Love, we talk about Aaron Rodgers. He had a great performance. Jordan Love had an incredible performance, an elite performance. And he was named Offensive Player of the Week this past week. I don't know how he's not in MVP conversations right now. He's been playing out of his mind. And we're not even in the Toyota-thon yet. That's when he really starts to cook. But Jordan Love in this game was incredible. Incredible from start to finish. He didn't make any mistakes. Kept the game the way that he kept the game the way that they wanted him to keep it, and make it simple for this team. And on top of that, he just let it rip on Sunday night. Like, that was the first time, I think, in a while that I've really seen Jordan Love rip the football and just fire it in there. Because a lot of times he puts a lot of touch on his passes. He doesn't really, he doesn't really put a lot of oomph in his passes. And on Sunday night against Aaron Rodgers, man, he was slinging that rock. He was launching it. He was rolling out, throwing it across the field. Christian Watson, which, by the way, welcome back, making an incredible catch. And what makes it even more crazier is how he played this game and how incredible it was to watch him throw 20 straight passes, 20 straight completed passes. The most, at least I should say the most, but like the last guy to do that in a single game was Brett Favre in 2007. That is some legendary company that you're putting yourself in there, young man. And on top of that, 350 plus yards. He threw for 360 plus, averaging almost 10 yards per pass attempt in this game. It says 9.7, but he averaged over 10. And I mean, like, you look at Jordan Love, man, he absolutely diced him out there. And one of the guys that he diced him out there with was Tucker Kraft, who gave the Pittsburgh Steelers a little bit of YAC and Cheese. Pun very much intended for that. But Tucker Kraft, too, I mean, on National Tight Ends Day, dude, he showed out in front of a national stage. And now I will say this for the Packers. If you're Tucker Kraft, and if you're Green Bay, you better make sure that man doesn't leave. And you better be ready to pay him because he is a very valuable player. And the Packers haven't had a very valuable tight end like this since Jermichael Finley. Maybe Jared Cook, but that was only 1 year for Green Bay. Tucker Kraft has been so valuable for this team. He can block. He's great run after the catch. We've seen it. Yards after contact. He's incredible at it. He's a good go-to guy when you need it on a third down. We've seen it when you need it on a fourth down. He has been phenomenal. And Tucker Kraft, and I have these numbers here, and I have my phone here, and I'm going to tell you what the numbers are for Tucker Kraft through the first 8 weeks of the season. Tucker Kraft is among the tight ends, third in receiving yards, second in yards after catch, second in yards in catch with 15.6, second in receiving touchdowns with 6, first in YAC yardage with 339, first in YAC average. He averages over 11.3 yards per catch, second in yards in route running, first in catches of 40 plus yards or more, and first in passer rating when targeted. 158.3, which is dang near perfect. I shouldn't say dang near perfect. That is perfect. Tucker Kraft, man, on tight ends day, absolutely showed out and absolutely showed out in front of the Steelers Nation and gave Green Bay potentially a go-to target. I know that they've been looking for that number one wide receiver. Maybe they have it in Tucker Kraft. Maybe they have it in Tucker Kraft. Who knows? But I do give credit to this group and I give credit to this team because not only that, this was kind of the kick in the pants that they needed and just really where they came out in the second half. And they came out slinging. First half was a struggle, but the second half was way better. They played so well in the second half, and they played so well against the Steelers. Pittsburgh didn't get a sack in this game. They didn't register a sack. They didn't register a turnover either. And I just think, too, when you look at how Super Bowl teams are formed, they're formed by working together and figuring out how do we get this team to work together and become a team. I know that's very repetitive, but I'm trying to make word of it. So, yeah, I mean, just phenomenal performance overall. Phenomenal performance from Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft, and I like the way that this Packers team has played. They really showed on Sunday night in that second half what they are capable of when their offense is on point, when their offense is playing well and their defense is playing well. I also think, too, it's a big addition for them to have Christian Watson back. I've said it before multiple times. You need that guy out there because he's big and he's fast. And when you get those guys that are big and fast and can be the focus of that team, it really opens up the rest of the passing game. So we'll see if they can get Jaden Reed back too, because if they get Jaden Reed and Christian Watson back and Dontavian Wicks back, like, holy cow, this team is going to be like Scaresville up in here. They're going to be absolutely scary and terrifying. And I know we're getting close to Halloween, but holy cow. This team hasn't even hit the surface yet. Wow. Now on to fourth down. And I'm going to talk fourth down here, and I'm going to go in the words of Chris Barkley. As any of you are watching this on YouTube and seeing the words here on this, in the words of the great Charles Barkley, I got 3 words for you. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, must-see TV. I know it's way more than 3 words. I just thought about that because it's just kind of funny. And, who doesn't love Inside the NBA? But Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, these two teams meet again, once again in the regular season. This has been kind of the NFL's version now of Manning versus Brady. These two teams typically meet pretty often. These two quarterbacks meet pretty often. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has got the best of Josh Allen. Josh Allen has got the best of Mahomes in the regular season, but has not bested him in the playoffs yet, which is insane to me because the only quarterback who's bested Mahomes in the postseason is Joe Burrow. You could say, yeah, Tom Brady beat him in the Super Bowl. Yeah, Jalen Hurts beat him in the Super Bowl. But, like, in the playoffs, like in the NFC Championship game, the divisional round, or the wild card, it's only been Joe Burrow. And it was in 2021. Josh Allen's hoping to, I think, kind of replicate that and try and get over that hump. And I've said this for the last several years, is the Bills have been so close. They've been so close every year to getting to the postseason and getting over that hump. The team that's the only thing is that hump is covered in red, and covered in red with the words KC on it. And that's a tough road to climb. Now, I look at this game too. This is a big game for the Kansas City Chiefs and for the Buffalo Bills. This is very big playoff implications here. Very big playoff implications in terms of seeding. Very big implications in terms of, who's going to stand where in the playoff picture and just where things are looking, and who's going to be in and who's going to be out. Because right now, season were to end today, Kansas City would be the 7 seed. Let me just say that again. If the season were to end today and the playoffs were to start today, the Kansas City Chiefs would be the 7 seed. The Bills would be a 5 seed, which means Buffalo would also not get a home playoff game. Buffalo would be on the road. They would be on the road, I believe, playing Denver. It's either they're playing Denver or they're playing the Chargers. So they may get a home game. Because I think it's Kansas. It's the lowest seed playing the highest seed, and then the 6 plays the 3, and the 5 plays the 4. So yeah, Buffalo would be on the road and playing Pittsburgh. But I mean, my gosh, this is wild. And a loss from the Bills. A loss from the Bills drops the Chiefs down to 3-2 in conference play. A win for the Bills here would put them up 4-1 in conference play. The only other 2 teams that are 4-2 in conference, that have only 2 losses in conference play, are the Patriots and the Broncos, that are playoff teams. If Kansas City were to drop to 2-3, Jacksonville could leapfrog them. I'm trying to pop my ears. Jacksonville were to leapfrog them, which is wild to think about. And if Jacksonville leapfrogs them, oh my goodness. Excuse me. So Kansas City, this is a must-win game for the Chiefs and the Bills, because a loss to Buffalo, it doesn't drop them out of the playoff race, but it doesn't put them in a good spot either, because I believe they would be sitting at the 6 seed or the 7 seed. So they would kind of drop down and they'd kind of be in that wild card spot, which is bonkers, because just think about it. These 2 teams have played in the playoffs as the number 1 and number 2 seed teams. And now we flip-flop, and now they're the 5th. They're now playing for potentially a wild card spot just to even get in. Unheard of stuff. And remind you, too, the last time these 2 teams met was in the AFC Championship game in Arrowhead Stadium. I don't understand it. The NFL, this has been one of the more wilder seasons this year, and it has been completely wild from up till this point, up to the halfway point. We have not even hit the playoffs yet, and if the playoffs get wild, this is going to be maybe one of the better seasons in the last few years in the NFL season. Maybe. Might be pure cinema. So, Allen Mahomes, that'll be fun to watch. Cannot wait. That's not going to be a Sunday Night Football game, surprisingly. Seahawks and Commanders is. I don't think they start flexing games out yet. That's in 2 weeks. It's either in 2 weeks or it's week 9, so next week. But the flexing of games will start to get moved around a bit. So that will be something to monitor too, which games get flexed in and out. Because there are probably going to be some pretty good games down the stretch that will probably get moved. So now we're getting close to wrapping up our show here. I want to talk about bringing out the bacon and talk about a guy who this week, it was National Tight Ends Day. I kind of gave it away a bit in our third down segment. He absolutely balled out on Sunday Night Football. and he balled out, had an incredible game. Didn't, get phased in the face of danger, and brought the YAC and Cheese with him. Talking about Mr. Tucker Kraft. 7 receptions for 143 receiving yards. I got to adjust this. 143 receiving yards. 2 touchdowns on National Tight End Day. I had to readjust that. Sorry if I didn't speak. But Tucker Kraft, 7 receptions, 143 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns on National Tight End Day. He gets put on the slab of bacon this week. And I wish we could start doing the slab of bacon on our show. But that requires money, man. And if you guys want to donate money, feel free to go ahead. I'm not saying you should, but we would appreciate it. Because then we can send out little slabs of bacon here. So now on to our Pigskin prime time picks. Three games this week, which thank goodness, no more Monday night hoopla, doubleheader hoopla. The one thing I will say is these are some very 50-50 games. They could either be good, they could either be bad. So let's jump right into it here. Thursday Night Football. We're recording this on a Thursday, and Thursday Night Football is actually about to start, so you may know the outcome of this game already, but the Ravens and the Dolphins are playing tonight. Lamar Jackson's going to be back in this lineup for the Baltimore Ravens. Because of that, and because the Ravens just need to get back on track to get into this playoff race, I have the Baltimore Ravens winning this one by 10. I think having Lamar Jackson back in there is so huge. I think you look at it, yes, they did steal a win over the Bears with Tyler Huntley, but you cannot understate how much of a big deal it is having Lamar Jackson up there on the field. He changes the way teams view him. Change the way teams view him, change the way teams game plan for him. And especially, too, with Derrick Henry, they need to get that run game going. They've been struggling to get that going. I think with Lamar, he's going to get that game going. So I got Ravens by 10. Next one here. Seahawks and Commanders. Washington and Seattle. This is a throwback game. We're going to have the Seattle Seahawks throw out. I believe they're going to bring out their white throwbacks. The Commanders are going to their old school, like the old school Washington so-and-so team. Can't say that word, apparently. Can't say that word. But the Washington Commanders are bringing back the unis with the stripes. They're calling it with their stripes and the stripe sleeves. They look like that team before they were called the Commanders. I'm sure you know what that team is. I can't say it. But they play the Seattle Seahawks. This is in Washington. I got Seattle by 7. If Jaden Daniels is healthy for this game, because they've had Marcus Mariota play for the last game and a half. If Jaden Daniels is healthy, I think they win this game. But because he's not, I got Seattle winning this one. And I got Sam Darnold and the crew winning it by 7. And our last one here to wrap it up, Cardinals and the Cowboys. Kyler Murray is supposed to be back for the Arizona Cardinals, but Dallas's offense is looking for a bounce-back game. And the Cowboys overall looking for a bounce-back game. I got Dallas winning this one by 7 on Monday Night Football. I think the Cowboys need to wash that taste out of their mouth after the blowout loss in Denver. I got Cowboys winning this one by 7. I think it's going to be close with Kyler Murray being back. The Cardinals also need a win here. They've been struggling lately to find a win, and Jonathan Gannon's excuses and wins are running out of time, and I just don't see them getting it done here. I see them losing close again. I got Cowboys by 7. With that does it for us here on another episode of Snap the Pigskin. So I'm trying to cough my way through this. Excuse me. Watch Snap the Pigskin on YouTube, at Snap the Pigskin or wherever you listen to your podcast. And I got good news for all of you. We just got our podcasts back up on all of our audio platforms, on all the podcast streaming platforms. So if you want to find us, you can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Apple Podcast, etc. iHeart Music. Find us there. You can listen to us there if you don't like watching and you just like listening, having it on for background music. We are back on the audio air, people, and we've got all the episodes that you need to get caught up with, too. Those will be dropping later this week. So don't worry about it, Pigskin fans. We got you covered. And I told you, I said it's gonna be a while before we get the episodes up, but we got them up and we got them up in running. So no need to worry. And with that, I'm Noah Clark. Thank you all for listening. And this has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin.